evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fillmore Auditorium in beautiful San Francisco. Please welcome Jeff Stilson.
That's very kind of you. Nice to be out west again. I used to live in Seattle, Washington. About 8 years ago, I moved from Seattle to New York City. I left a city that has a high suicide rate for a city that has a high homicide rate. Guess I'm just not a do-it-yourself kind of person. You might know this about Seattle. The high suicide rate there is attributed to the rain. It depresses people, and then they kill themselves. That must be tough on the weatherman. Tomorrow, let's just say it's not going to be that sunny. I didn't grow up in Seattle. I was born and raised in Spokane, Washington, a much quainter community. I'll give you an idea how quaint Spokane is. Our zoo there, at one point, was named the worst zoo in North America. And admittedly, it is pretty bad. Most of the animals in the zoo are native to the Spokane area. They just happen to be on the grounds when the zoo was built. We named our airport in Spokane the Spokane International Airport, even though there are no international flights. We got the idea for the name from the International House of Pancakes. Oh, thank you. So I live in New York now, and living in such a large city has been an adjustment for me. You know, it's changed me. It's hardened me. You know, when I first moved to New York, I was full of compassion. I gave money to every panhandler I saw. Now a head could come rolling up the sidewalk with a cup in its mouth, and I wouldn't be moved. Why should I give you money? I saw half a head on Broadway. Yeah, you think you got it bad? This guy couldn't even roll. Get a job. I'm still not used to the crime in New York. It's very pervasive there. You know, when I fall asleep at night in Manhattan, it's usually to the sound of car alarms blaring. The car alarm has become the urban equivalent of the cricket. But crime has become the #1 concern across our country, and it's no wonder. It seems as though I'm always reading about some new serial killer in the paper. He's always described the same way, too, as being a loner. Of course he's a loner. He's been killing people. Homicide is not the type of activity in which one partakes when one does a lot of entertaining, you know? People ask questions. Hey, Jeff, did you know you have a head in your refrigerator? That, by the way, is when I became hooked on court television. It was long before the O.J. trial. It was during Jeffrey Dahmer's sanity hearing. This was beyond comprehension. At one point in the testimony, it was revealed that Dahmer used condoms when he had sex with corpses. Yeah. Now, isn't it incredible that this message, always wear a condom, got through? But others didn't, like don't eat people? Maybe we need more public service announcements. Just say no to cannibalism. Friends don't let friends eat friends. Well, it looks as though the FBI finally got the Unabomber. Yeah, the evil genius who wrote the 35,000-word manifesto on why he hates technology. Now that he's behind bars, you know what his next manifesto will be about, why he hates being his cellmate's bitch. Yeah. You know, as much as the Unabomber hates technology, imagine how pissed he'll be if he gets the electric chair. Couldn't you just bash my head in with a big rock or something? All of a sudden, Montana's become this haven for psychos. You know, that's where the Freemen are in Montana. Yeah, the Freemen are they're what? Anti-government, pro-gun, white separatist fundamentalists. Looniness raised to the fourth power. The equivalent of Roseanne on Prozac smoking crack during menopause. You know, just stay away. How can you be a white separatist in Montana? There are no black people in the state from whom to separate. Sightings of black people in Montana are rarer than sightings of real breasts on Baywatch. The prisons in our country are overflowing. Meanwhile, our Supreme Court has ruled that forcing one inmate to share a cell with another who smokes is cruel and unusual punishment. In other words, our justice has decided that a prisoner can still sodomize his cellmate. He just can't enjoy that come-down cigarette afterward. So sometimes I wonder about our priorities. A couple months ago, I read about this guy in the paper who plunged to his death bungee jumping because his cord was 70 feet too long. 70 feet too long. This is why we take math. Would actually make for a very good word problem, wouldn't it? Jim is about to bungee jump. The ground is 100 feet below Jim. What can the maximum length of Jim's bungee cord be when stretched? A, more than 100 feet. That must have been an uneasy feeling, huh? Free falling to the earth like that. You know, his last thought must have been, boy, this thing should be tightening up any second now. Thud. I'm always amused by the cutesy stories that appear in the newspaper. Like the other day, I read about this cat who started meowing and woke up his owner when a fire broke out in their apartment. Afterward, the guy said that the cat saved his life. Maybe so, but if that cat could have opened the door by himself, there would have been no meowing. We just seem so preoccupied with trivial issues now, you know, like language. One wrong word and people can be offended. We aren't stewards, we're flight attendants. Yeah, whatever you are, go fetch me some peanuts and a Diet Coke. You can be astronauts if you want, I don't care. Somehow we've convinced ourselves that we're helping people merely by using the proper terminology when referring to them. They aren't bums or winos, they're the homeless. I guess we figure it's bad enough that people have to sleep in the gutter. We certainly wouldn't want them to suffer from low self-esteem as well. Well, the Republicans and Democrats now are calling for a return to family values to cure our societal ills. Family values, of course, are guiding principles that parents instill in their children, like do unto others as you would have others do unto you. We had really specific ones in our family, like don't ever sit on your Uncle Wayne's lap. I just became an uncle again. My brother and his wife had their second child, a baby girl. I haven't met her yet. My mother has, though, and she filled me and she told me, she's the most beautiful baby that I've ever seen. Her head is perfectly round. I only wish that I were judged by such slack criteria. Mr. Stilson, we've decided to offer you the job because your head is incredibly spherical. Well, thank you very much. I smooth the edges every day. Yeah. So I don't have any kids of my own. I am married, though, and happily so. I got really tired of dating, you know. It just got to be too much work. You know, you have to make that phone call, maybe send flowers, go to dinner, catch a movie. It'd be so much easier if we could just swim upstream or make a loud clacking noise. Other species really are much more efficient when it comes to mating, you know. Human couples often take years to determine if they're well suited as mates. You know, compare that to dogs, who can make the same assessment in a matter of seconds, you know? No. She's not my smell. I just hope I never find myself in a bad marriage, because deciding whether or not to get a divorce would be extremely difficult. I mean, you would have to determine if you wanted to suffer a whole bunch all at once, or if you wanted to spread the misery out over your entire life. I guess that's when calculus comes in handy, you know? You figure out the area under the two curves. I'll tell you, proposing marriage was unnerving for me because I had to buy an engagement ring, and I have really bad taste in jewelry. I would have preferred just handing my wife the money. Here, will you marry me? No? How much more? Do you take Visa? The engagement ring is a form of payment, though. It's a statistical fact that, on average, women who never get married live longer than women who do, but men who never get married don't live as long as men who do. It's only fair, then, some type of compensation is extended. Here, this is for the life that I'm about to suck out of you. I don't remember much from our wedding ceremony. Well, the vows are just too nebulous, you know, to have and to hold, to love and to cherish. They need to be rewritten, put into simpler language, like, do you promise not to do it with anyone else? Sure. All right, you're married, go on your honeymoon. The honeymoon is an odd tradition. You know, it makes no sense, the honeymoon. You've just taken the vows when you rush off to some vacation hideaway where you spend every second of every day with the very person to whom you just pledged your entire life. 2 weeks apart, I think, would make more sense. I mean, you have the rest of your lives to get sick of each other. Why rush it? You know, some couples wait until their honeymoon before they consummate their relationship. You know, that sounds romantic, but it's very risky. You know, your wedding night is the wrong time to learn that your mate for life can only get aroused if you put on a grass skirt and squat on a coffee table. Then again, I'm hardly an expert on matters of sex. I've always been naive in that area. My parents used to lie to me about sex. You know, when I asked them what the boy dog and girl dog were doing in the front yard, they told me that the animals were dancing. Yeah. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, for one thing, I didn't hear any music playing, and for another, the animals weren't even facing each other. I guess they could have been forming a conga line. Thank you. So you must be very proud of your football team here in San Francisco. Good team. I like football. I like the games. I could do without the interviews after the games, though, because the winning players always give credit to God while the losers blame themselves, you know? Just once, I'd like to hear a player say, yeah, we were in the game until Jesus made me fumble. He hates our team. So I've never understood that. I don't understand religious fanaticism. Total strangers will approach me on the street and ask, have you met the Lord? I'm not so sure that I'd want to, you know. I'm easily intimidated. I still remember how flustered I got when I met Mike from the Monkees. Never see atheists out on the street trying to convert people to atheism, you know. I guess because they don't have that big selling point like the Christians who can offer eternal bliss in heaven. You know, the best pitch the atheist can make is, well, you get to sleep in on Sundays. I've even seen some boxers thank God for their triumphs. Oh yeah, without Jesus, I couldn't have crushed my opponent's skull tonight and rendered him brain dead. I've been blessed by the Lord. We really shouldn't interview boxers after a fight, after they've had their brains scrambled. I mean, what do we expect from them? So tell me, Boom Boom, what were you thinking in the last round? About inflation, Bob, and its effect on third world economies. See, we're fanatical about sports in this country, we really are. Starting at an early age, too. There's even a magazine now called Sports Illustrated for Kids. This, I think, is a good idea because it encourages young children to read, and it allows professional athletes to read their own press. There is one sport that I won't watch on television. It's not fishing either. I don't consider fishing a sport. I consider fishing alcoholism. I mean, think about what fishing really is. It's a human being trying to outsmart an animal with a brain the size of a pinhead. I mean, where's the challenge? I think this is why so many fishermen drink so heavily. They're trying to level the playing field. Because after 20 beers, their brains are the size of a pinhead. I do watch golf on television, and I know it's actually quite difficult to stay awake while watching golf on TV. It's a great sleep inducer. I think this is why the commentators in golf whisper. They don't want to wake you up. Looks like Norman has about a 20-foot putt, and while he's lining it up, I'll take this opportunity to sing Rock-a-bye, baby, in the treetop. Bowling is a sport I won't watch. Yeah. One reason why is I feel sorry for the commentators in bowling. The sport is so predictable. There's just a ball and an alley. There's no defense, no obstacles, no strategy. So, Jim, what do you think you'll do on this one? He's probably going to try to knock those pins down. Back to you. You know what else really bothers me about bowling? The automatic ball return. Would it kill bowlers to walk the 60 feet down to the end of the alley to retrieve their balls? You know why they won't? It's hard to carry a bowling ball when you have a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Tell you. Oh, thanks. We spend too much time watching sports. We really do. Well, we're the fattest country in the world, We need to start playing sports. I've tried. I went out for wrestling in high school. That turned out to be a huge mistake. I had the wrong idea about high school wrestling. I thought it was like professional wrestling. Showed up at the first practice wearing a cape and elf slippers. Coach made me run laps. I tried boxing after that. Didn't have a lot of success in the ring. I was gun shy from having an older brother. Every time my opponent hit me, I would tell the referee. My brother used to beat me up almost every day when we were kids. He never got in trouble either unless he hit me in the back. My parents considered that cowardly. It's an odd message to convey to a child, isn't it? Don't hit your brother unless you can nail him in the face. I didn't have a sibling whom I could torture. My little sister was too young, 10 years separated. She was an accident. My parents call her their little boo-boo, which is sweet considering they call me their gross mishap. But, I don't want to whine about my childhood. We do that too much now, don't we? We blame our parents for everything. Even when we're grown up now and out of the house, we use our parents as scapegoats. I'm a loser because my father's an alcoholic. No, your father's an alcoholic because you're a loser. I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who have low self-esteem. You know, you don't need to love yourself. You just need to hate a lot of other people. Then grade yourself on the curve. I have a lot of respect for parents. I really do. I'm not ready for that kind of responsibility. Everything about having children scares me, starting with the delivery, because men now are expected to be present when their wives give birth. I'm not even sure what our role is in the delivery room. You know, as far as I can tell, it's like waiting for your luggage at baggage claim. You know? Just stand there and peer into that void. Then when it arrives, you grab it and go home. First, you make sure it's yours. I wouldn't even know what to name my child, you know. I panic when I have to name a new document on my computer. Damn, everybody uses miscellaneous. Tell you what I wouldn't do is name my child after me. That's just too risky, you know. There's no guarantee the kid wouldn't grow up to be a psychopath. How would you like to be Ted Bundy Sr.? You could end up in hell because of a clerical error. Someday I want to have kids, though, because they are fun to be around. You know, they're so full of life. They aren't bogged down yet by convention or fear. For instance, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I were at a restaurant, and seated at the table next to us was a little boy, and he was staring at us. So I said hello, and then he just blurted out, "I have Superman on my underpants." And it made me think, an adult could never be so free. Imagine being at a job interview when you hear, "So, tell me something about yourself," and you reply, "Well, I have Superman on my underpants." Probably wouldn't get the job unless, of course, the interviewer also had Superman on his underpants. You get to do a lot of fun stuff when you have kids, you know, like take them to Walt Disney movies. I love Walt Disney movies because the theater's always full of tiny children, you know. They're running around, shoving food in their faces, rolling on the floor. They're like little drunk people. Three Stooges movies are popular with little kids. Yeah, you like the Three Stooges? Yeah. Do you think they ever rejected a script? Do you think they ever said, "No, this one's even too stupid for us"? Maybe Charlie Sheen will do it. My wife and I, we've talked about adopting children, but I'm afraid that I don't have the strength of character to adopt. You know, as soon as they did anything wrong, anything that reflected badly on me as a parent, I'd be telling people, you know, they really aren't mine. We got them at the Humane Society. So my wife and I, we don't have kids. Like many two-career couples, we've kind of directed our maternal and paternal energies toward raising a dog. Yeah, we have a dog named Ernest. Oh, yeah. They're amazing animals, dogs. They really are. Mine can sense when I'm depressed because he'll get really affectionate, you know, cuddle up next to me, make me feel loved and needed. Sometimes I'm convinced that he's human, you know. Then he starts licking his ass again and goes right back to being a dog. Last year we bred our dog, we bred Ernest, and because he had never had sex before, he didn't know how to do it. So we had to use artificial insemination. We took him to our vet, and she manually coerced the requisite fluids from his body. It cost $82 a pop, you know, which is a lot considering we could have taken him to Times Square and paid $10. So the downside was the procedure was expensive. The upside is our dog doesn't mind going to the vet anymore. Are you sure I don't need any shots? So I love animals. A couple of weeks ago, I was at Central Park feeding the squirrels, and I happened to catch sight of two rats who were looking on with apparent envy. And it hit me how resentful it must make rats knowing that they're just a bushy tail away from being hand-fed in the park. That's why I think rat and mouse traps are such cruel devices. You know, imagine what must be passing through these poor animals' minds when they see that hunk of cheese just sitting there for their taking. They must be thinking, finally, after all this time, someone loves us. It would be like presenting Susan Lucci with a Daytime Emmy, and then just as she reached out to grab it, clubbing her over the head. Anyway, thank you very much.